Subnautica, the game that is all about water. It's all about the underwater world. And also the game that gave me Thalassophobia. Now, this game, I played it whenever it came out. I think it was even in the early test versions. I think I played one of the last test versions. But anyhow, I was much smaller then, and I played this game. And I was just mindlessly doing things. I was never, really playing it like I was supposed to. I was just kind of, messing around. Playing creative, just messing around, driving around in the sea moth. Having fun, seeing all the fishies, making cool bases. And I distinctly remember I took my sea glide. I think I was on survival. That's the time I actually got thalassophobia. And I was like, all right, so pretty, much this world is huge. To be honest, I can't seem to find the end of it. So I want to see what's behind the aurora. Now, if you know, behind the aurora, there is a bit of a landmass, but to get there, it's through some dangerous territory. But about that, not now. So I take my sea glide and I swim from the back of the aurora where the engines are, rockets. And I just swim directly by the engines, parallel to the engines. And, I'm swimming. I see like it gets deeper. I'm like, I am already like starting to get like a little like worried. Like, okay, this is not looking like the safe shallows. This is looking a little weird. It's just not looking quite good. And I'm swimming through. It's like this muddy water. I can't see the bottom, but I'm like, it's just a deeper area. It's fine. And I swim and I swim, and then the water gets blue. It gets this beautiful deep blue color, and I'm like, okay, see, this is what I wanted, a new biome. So I look down and I just see this vast darkness and just this just huge vast darkness. And I'm like, okay, this is a new biome. This is cool. I like the blue. So I continue swimming, and then I get the notification in the PDA. You're entering the dead zone. I'm like, dead zone? That does not sound good. That sounds very bad. And I opened the PDA and I started reading. And then the leviathans start coming. The ghost leviathans. And whenever the first ghost leviathan came at me, like I didn't even know they were in the game. I got so fucking scared. I mean, immediately I died. I respawned in my base, and I was so terrified that I legitimately walked away from the computer, and I sat on the bed. I was like, okay, yep, this is I'm never gonna play that damn game again. And then I did play the game again, but I started by playing very cautiously. But that is the game that gave me legitimate thalassophobia, fear of deep, deep waters. Primarily because, Subnautica, yes, it's all about, the water world, but whenever you kind of get into that, situation where you can't see the bottom, and your worst fears actually do come to life. Because, like if you're in the ocean, like in general, and you can't see the bottom, you're going to be fine. You get out of the ocean, everything's fine. But if something happens, like you're in the deep water, and now a fish comes at you, like a huge leviathan fish, and just eats you, that just reconfirms your fear. It signals to your brain, yeah, actually, that's actually fucking dangerous. Let's not do this. And whenever I, played Subnautica Hardcore recently and actually, beat the game, I was still suffering from this fear of thalassophobia I got, all the way back then. Now, I don't know if I had a fear of thalassophobia because of this game. Maybe it's just natural to me. But it is the first time I actually experienced it. So today I also wanted to shed light more on how Subnautica masterfully does, masters thalassophobia. How it masterfully uses this primal human instinct in order to give the game a much more realistic, fantastic feeling. The number one reason is where you spawn in. You don't spawn in the dead zone. You don't spawn in, the deep end. You spawn in the safe shallows. You jump out of your, life pod and everything is fine. It's like the Shire in Lord of the Rings. It's beautiful. The fishies, the water is blue. There's squirrels. There's all kinds of fish. There's grass. It's beautiful and lush. And then you go deeper and deeper, and you kind of realize, well, yeah, it's deeper, but it's still beautiful. It's still alive. Yeah, there are some more like dangerous animals, but it's still beautiful. And it's just that eventually, the deeper and deeper you go, you start pushing your luck. You start saying, okay, well, I haven't been hurt yet. How about I go a little deeper? How about I go a little more? If you've seen any of those, a YouTuber enters dead zone videos, clips where they enter the dead zone. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Subnautica is designed so that you have the ability to cluelessly enter the most dangerous area in the game, and you suffer the consequences. And it's with that beat. It's not like they give you a map of the world. It's not like you spawn in and you can get like a premature message like, hey, actually, there's this thing called the dead zone, and actually it's the most horrific thing ever. Because personally, to me, the dead zone is much scarier than the lava zone, than the Lost River. It's much scarier than those areas, primarily because it's so deep. You can't. It's just it's the void. And for people who have thalassophobia, a void like that, an endless expanse of just nothing, filled with actual monsters, is more scary than a lava lake with monsters, because you can actually you understand it, you realize what's happening. But in Subnautica, you enter the dead zone and it's just a void. You can't do anything about it. You can't see the bottom. So not only are there monsters, but you can also it also plays on your fear of kind of what else is in there. That's where all those mods with like even bigger leviathans in the dead zone, that's where those mods come from. Because maybe there's something bigger, which very well there could canonically be something bigger in the dead zone. So the dead zone, it's but the dead zone is very simple. It could have been in the game, but Subnautica, it layers this kind of world in a way that you explore, and the thalassophobia just slowly gets you. Now, I watched Queso play the game, and I saw that, whenever he exited the safe shallows into a relatively safe area, but, it was still deeper, he got scared. And that's, it's a normal response to a person who does have, does indeed have thalassophobia. So the game, not it comes premature baked with thalassophobia, but even for people who don't have thalassophobia, that fear can arise in them via the game. It's not just water underwater game. It's much different than that. They could have made the terrain 10 times different. They could have made the terrain like immediately deep. They could have made the terrain maybe like all shallow or something like that, or like more shallow areas or something. They could have not made a dead zone per se too, right? This game, like for example, if you know the game Sea of Thieves, the water in Sea of Thieves is very damn deep. But kind of swimming around in Sea of Thieves, it's not. You don't get at least I personally don't get thalassophobia. Now I don't know why. I did get it a little bit, but the water in Sea of Thieves is different. Swimming down in Sea of Thieves feels much different. Swimming down in Subnautica, right? Even with all the krakens and the megalodons, you feel for some reason much safer in those waters. Now, I can't precisely pinpoint why. I just personally, that's just me. But Subnautica is a game that has mastered the underwater perfectly, and that's one of my problems with. This is my personal opinion. One of my problems with Below Zero is I believe there is no dead zone in Below Zero. There's only an ice wall. So that, kind of removes the mystery from that game too. So that's one of the reasons I personally think it failed and was right to do so. So yeah. So that is kind of how Subnautica gave me thalassophobia probably, and kind of how it really capitalized on it. Because it really does capitalize on that thalassophobic feeling. The atmosphere is just murky, you know? You have clear waters and you have murky waters. And the transition to the dead zone is also incredibly sudden. It's not like it slowly gets deeper, it gets deeper like immediately. You enter the wrong area, boom, you're dead. So that gives people like more fear to move around in the world because, okay, what if I accidentally enter the dead zone? You know, what if I fall in and from the islands, and what if I enter the dead zone? I don't want to meet Reaper Levite. Like, no, thank you. It makes it so much more scary because you like one moment you could be swimming, not seeing the bottom, thinking you're in a safe biome, but you just not don't see the bottom because there are biomes where you just like the dunes where you can't see the bottom, but you're not in the dead zone, and the next minute you could be in the dead zone. So it's very scary. The dead zone and all like the slow kind of deepening and the sudden drop off. It is perfect to capitalize on these fears of humans. I really admire that about the game, and I love how it's a 7+ game, even though it's the scariest fucking game I've ever played. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching, for tuning in. And that's kind of the reason why Subnautica, how they mastered Thalassophobia. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Live long and prosper. Goodbye.